Hey everyone, hope everyone's doing well. Today we're going to go over a couple swing setups that I found in the market past couple weeks. All right, so let's get into it. Oh, and I'm also going to go over how I find these setups and what I look for in these setups. All right, so first things first, I found this chart GDX. So I was just looking across different ETF names, and I start from my top-down approach. So I go from monthly to weekly to 1 day to 4 hour, depending on the trend or pattern. So with that being said, let's start from the monthly. So this immediately caught my eye here. We were looking at some sort of like pennant shape, and we were kind of holding down the fort here on the bottom trend line here. As we can see here, we're making some sort of pennant pattern. So that was the first thing that said, that's kind of interesting. All right, but let's see if we have any other context clues here. I'm also looking for supply and demand. So we can kind of see that there is a monthly demand zone right around this 24.6 area. What is this? 24 point. Let's see here. Right around this 24.5 area. So that's a nice monthly demand zone, but I didn't really line up with my pennant, so I kept looking. Let's go down to the weekly chart, keeping that in mind here. This was kind of interesting as well. Still holding that trend line here. I saw that we were kind of making a low here. We're kind of holding above this pattern, and we're kind of getting squeezed out a little bit. So I said, all right, that's even more interesting. Then I came to the day chart and saw that on February 14th, we held this low here. We bounced off of it. So if I go back to my initial trade that I looked at, let's just go to default. And I saw that there was actually a demand zone here. So again, if we switch off to clean here, we can see that there's a nice demand zone. I'll make it a little bit bigger on this low. So we came up 25.6. There's a demand zone here. As we can see, we kind of created some space, broke this high over here on the left. And as you can see here, when we tested this demand zone again at right around February 14th, February 13th, 14th, we bounced off of it. So I said, all right, that's nice reaction. And I said to myself, if we come back in this demand zone, I kind of want to be a buyer. I don't want to miss this. So if we go back to my trade setup here, you can see that again, we're holding this bottom trend line here of this pennant. And then we've got this demand zone. So we tested it once, tested it twice again in February 14th. I missed it. I actually probably would have been a buyer here had I seen this nice volume spike actually. So we're seeing a lot of these sellers getting absorbed. You can see again this nice volume spike here on February 13th. So that was an indication that there was something going on here. That coincided exactly where this bottom trend line was. And again, I wasn't in at this time. February 14th, we're still stalling out, gathering orders, and then we took off a couple days later. That would have been a nice trade had you taken this, but I missed it. I didn't. So what I did was I was like, all right, if we come back into this demand zone, then I probably would have been a buyer, which I was. So what ended up happening was I got in, I believe, right around, I believe it was 223 or 226. Yeah, I believe it was 226. Forget one of the. So I was just in this general area, but basically what I was looking for in this area was I was looking for some sort of basing period, and I got that, as we can see on dates February 23rd, 26th. So I was a buyer, but I only went in half position, and the reason why I went in half position was in case of something like this were to happen. I knew that we could potentially fake out if we broke below these lows here, and then buyers could potentially step in. Now, with that being said, I entered half position right at this time. We fell below. I wasn't worried. And then I entered my full position on February 28th. So now on February 28th, I was fully in because I had a plan. So my plan was I was going to enter in here right around this $26 mark. It's a whole number, psychological number, with my stop loss below this low, 25.62. That was my stop loss. I'm right around there. And what did I end up doing was I got in again half position, and my target was initially this weekly. This would be my target would be this weekly. So my risk reward was $26, let's say around to about 50 cents. So it was about 50 cents, about $3.3, a little bit more than that. So it was a really, really nice 6-to-1 kind of trade setup. But again, only went in half position because we could have tanked and sold off. That would have been fine. So what did I do? Next couple days go on. We're still basing, no problem. And then right on 228, let's go back to 228. So again, I'm in half my position at this point. Let's go to the 1 hour, see what happened on 228. So here we are in 228, right around this over here. Actually, let's go on the 15 minute. 15 minute. I'm going to make this just so you can see exactly what I was looking at. And then we'll come back to you guys. All right, here. So 228. So I saw that we were holding this trend line here that I made. So again, here are the couple confirmations I was in. This was a daily used demand zone. So we're a daily used demand zone, a double bottom. We were holding this trend line, and we had some volume spikes coming in right around this area. This is a very intriguing area. So what I did was I saw it holding here, and I got in right around here early in the morning on February 28th. So somewhere right around here. Again, I can pull up the timestamps if needed, but for time's sake, this is where I got in. I saw we were basing on this trend line. It was hugging it perfectly. I did get a little bit worried here, but again, I had my plan. My plan was going to be to stop out below the low on the other side, or if we were to kind of dip below and then see buyers get back in, that would have been fine as well. But again, the plan was to stay intact here, and we never dipped below that previous low of 25.62. So I was fine. I had my plan intact. At this point, I was in my position fully. All right, so let's take a look at what happened. Now, I had all these confirmations going again. Again, I had this monthly trend line supporting. I had this double bottom, we're testing this low again. And we already tested this demand zone once. We took up, got a couple points out of that, but I didn't take that trade. I came back and I said, all right, I want to be in this one. All right, so let's see what happened. Again, we took off the next day. We jumped. Everything was looking good on leap day. We took a nice leap. And then I actually scaled out a couple contracts here right on leap day for about, I think I had 10. Scaled 2 here and let the rest ride a little bit. Next day, I saw it jump again. We broke out above this little downtrend here. Scaled a couple more. Next day again, we jumped up again, scaled a couple more, and then let the last 2 or 3 ride till we hit this weekly supply zone on March 6th. And again, that was a 100% trade minimum. I believe some of the contracts ran to about 200%. I'd have to double check, but it was nice overall. But again, to recap the trade that I was looking at, or the style, let's just recap that, and then we'll go into the next one. Again, we saw this monthly pennant thing forming, nice trend line going up, and then on the weekly, same sort of process. We saw that over here. We made a higher low here. So I said, all right, maybe we can hold this higher low and test it again. Then I came in the daily, saw that there was a demand zone formed from this previous low. We tested it once. It held again. So I said, all right, if buyers step in again, let's go for it again. And I was a little bit premature in my entry, but that's okay. I only went in half position. Waited till we got back down to my initial entry, which was this double bottom here on the trend line, and then we took off, and it was a beautiful trade from there. All right, let's go to ARK, which was the next trade. All right, this is kind of dirty, but let's clean this up. Let's go with clean. All right, so here's what I was looking at again. So again, top-down approach, monthly. Now, from a monthly perspective, this doesn't really look good at all. This looks like just a giant camel hump. It was not ideal, but that's okay. So with that being said, I saw that we were actually somewhat coming, if we're looking at it like this, we're really like in this basing pattern, not beautiful, really not a good monthly chart, but we have this nice, weird looking monthly demand zone right around $40. So that was interesting. But I said, all right, you know what, hold on. We're coming into weekly, S&P's hitting all-time highs, the NASDAQ looking at all-time highs as well. Let's just take a look what else is going on here. So then I saw that, all right, we made another higher low on the weekly chart. We're, breaking previous highs. So we've got a nice little channel going here, it looks like. And if you can kind of just use your imagination, just bear with me, like something like that. So it looked like we're in this mini uptrend for the past, couple months here. But okay, so then I said, all right, let's keep looking. On the daily chart, that's when things got interesting. I saw that from November all the way to, December here, January 1st-ish. We had this nice uptrend here. And I'm actually just curious, while I'm here, let's just look at the Fibonacci real quick, what that looks like. I'm just curious if we had a retracement at all. Oh, that's not the one I wanted to use. Where is this Fibonacci? Is this it? This is it. Fibonacci. I'm really curious on this retracement. Yeah, so almost pretty perfect to the 50, but all right, not exactly what I thought. But anyway, moving on. This is what I saw. So I saw this nice uptrend. We pulled back, and then we were looking like this weird cup and handle pattern here. I don't know if you guys can see it too, but I'll see if I can draw it. But we had this cup and handle pattern. I'll just quickly draw it. So we had this nice cup and handle, something along these lines. That's the cup, and then we've got the handle somewhere around here. You can use your imagination, but that's what I looked at. That's what I was looking at. We pulled back. I said, all right, we're in this daily uptrend somewhat, and we also had a nice uptrend over here as well. So let's just clear this again. Let's clear drawing set, and let's go. Then I saw this nice uptrend thing looking over here. So everything was like, all right, this is interesting. Let's go back to what I was seeing during the trade. So during the trade, I said, okay, let's take a look. So I saw this nice uptrend building. There was a downtrend here. Wasn't too worried about that. But I also saw this demand zone. So again, if I clean this up a little bit, we can see I saw this nice daily demand zone. Daily demand zone here. So this daily demand zone, we had a nice basin candle with a nice green candle on 226. So I saw we jumped up. We even broke this previous high here. And this was kind of breaking out of the cup and handle. So this is the handle portion, if you just kind of use your imaginations with me here. We're kind of breaking out of this cup and handle pattern. We took off, so I said, okay, that's a demand zone that I'd be interested in utilizing. So I said, okay, let's take a look what happened. On March 5th, we entered the demand zone. So if I bring back to my original trade here, let's go to March 5th. So again, demand zone, it's matching perfectly up with this trend line here that I kind of briefly made here. So I said, all right, there's quite a few confirmations lining up. Again, we got this nice little volume spike here on the buy-sell indicator. Let's go into what I was looking at exactly within that day. So let's just use a 1 hour for time's sake. All right, and I believe I got in right after this candle here. So let's see here. Let's even break it down even further. All right, so yeah, so I actually got in right at 11 o'clock. So I saw we tapped this. I said, you know what, let me enter half the position. And immediately I started making money on this trade, but obviously didn't last very long. I was really happy. We ticked this demand zone. I said, you know what, I'll enter half. And then my plan was, let's just take a look. Again, I put my stop below this demand zone. So my stop was right around 40, I believe it was 48. No, it wasn't. It was right below this trend line. Let me just take a peek here. Let's see. Where was the initial? I had it earlier. Here it is, $48. So $48, again, wasn't the best looking trade, but I was looking to squeeze a little bit out of it. So I got in right around, let's see, 48.9, and the stop loss was right around 48.1. So that's about 80 cents. The initial target was this top line. That was the end goal. So that's about, let's call it $52. So that's what, like a 2-to-1, 3-to-1 risk reward? So not bad. And I, again, had that scale out at 50.5. So a scale. So let's say we bought in. All right. So we bought in on March 5th, and then I only bought in again half the position. And then right as we dip below it again here, I went in full position. So we went below right around 2-3 o'clock. I saw that we were getting another couple more buying pressure, and then went up from there. So the next day we had a nice jump. Didn't scale until I hit 50.53, and then on March 8th was completely out of the position once it hit this top trend line right around $52. This trade was about 100% on the contracts, not as good as the GDX one, but it was still pretty. So hopefully that made a little bit of sense. But again, looking for longer time frame patterns, starting from a top-down approach. So again, if we're coming from clean, top-down approach, I saw this somewhat looking channel, this upward looking channel here. I said, all right, let me take a stab at it. came down the daily, found a nice looking demand zone. This is a nice, healthy demand zone. And I figured, all right, I'll go a little bit lighter. Let me see what happens when it reacts with this demand zone. It was nice. And then we took off, and the rest is history. All right, thanks for watching.